Hello, my dearest friends. It's me, and it's time for us to read some stories. This one is from someone that I actually kind of remember this username, A Small Army of Crabs. One does not usually forget a small army of crabs. But this is Master Collection of My Horrible Teachers. Number 11 will shock you. Oh, I had no idea we were numbering them. Let's get into this one. I'm always interested to see what kind of nightmares come out of the education program these days. So I am currently seething. I'm working on the neckbeard fanfiction for my ex, but I feel as though my story of school teachers are the ones I really need to write now. It's 3 a.m. as I'm writing this. I submitted my withdrawal form at this point, but I guess we'll get to that by the end. Sometimes I am appalled by how incredibly dumb I am. Most people seem to have built-in standards of what authority is allowed to do to them, but I've always been the I'm not trying to start a fight kind of person. And I think that after this year, this is a quality I need to change about myself. I was, apparently, an incredibly gifted child in kindergarten, because instead of putting me in grade 1 with a class group of my peers who knew and supported me, I was put in grade 2. The teacher thought I was mentally handicapped because I was never taught how to read. Real good. Since they taught you how to read in grade 1, it was difficult for me to do the classwork that was mostly in writing. I would put up my hand and ask her to read out the words, since I could understand, just not read. She told me that she had, quote, other kids to worry about who deserved her help more. Really? So that's the story of how I completed no work for an entire year. I was separated from my peers completely since the school had a rotating recess system. I was only allowed outside with grade 2s, who, of course, bullied me, and the grade 5s, who bullied me, but in a cool way. I did learn that no one wanted to talk to me and ended up taking speech therapy lessons because I wasn't talking to anyone anymore. They tried to move me up to a grade 2 more times. Each time, it failed. Once I was in grade 2 again, as a 7-year-old with a decent teacher, it only took me a month or two to pick up on how to read. I'd always been quick when I have a decent teacher. In grade 6, twice, skipping 5th, but this year was probably the least bad. I switched from English immersion to French immersion. I suck at French, and the extra diploma better get me a job. This move was mostly an issue for my classmates. The reason I never learned how to skate or ski or play soccer was because these girls were ruthless. Any mistake I made would result in laughter ringing out. They would push me over and tease me incessantly. I still see them quite often. I mean, they're only a year older than me. It hurts me somewhat that they just keep living a normal life. They don't even recognize me. That is fucking awful, dude. I'm so sorry to hear that. Now we can move on to the next year. This happened. I skipped grade 7. Same result, not having friends fucked me over and I got bullied. Class schedules were misaligned, so I only got to see my friends during lunch. Turn to my previous Moonhorse story to explain why that's a bad thing. Anyways, i.e. Legbeard Brienne was emotionally and physically abusive to be around. Oh, jeez. I remember my foods teacher was terrible that year. The only reason I did foods was because it was the only non-sports option for me. We're going to skip over my volleyball-induced trauma, but you can safely assume that any blonde girl with a ponytail and shorts is incredibly intimidating to me at this point. If I were cool enough to have access to drugs or alcohol, I would have taken it in a heartbeat. Instead, I ate the seeds of apples. I peeled them to make sure I had the most cyanide in me whenever I had to play volleyball. But I was in foods too, and it was lame. We toured a tofu factory. Ever want to see beige paste get squished into more solid beige paste? Yeah, it was boring. Still better than the trip to the sewage treatment plant, but at least there was a technician there. But because I had piano to do after class, I left early one day. Now keep in mind, my group was cleaned up. They said it was chill, so I just kind of bailed. She called me back into the classroom over the PA. If they do that, just don't go. And made me A, clean up every other station. Since I didn't help my group, I had to help the rest of the class. And B, wait there for 2 hours until she was ready to leave. She would hear no protest. I was late, but also was probably pretty out of it. Middle school was when I downloaded the Panic Attack app and my brain just went straight up play Minecraft in F3 mode a lot of the time in public just to cope so I wouldn't burst into shame bubbles or something like that. I don't know, I was 12. What 12-year-old knows anything? We also have the science language teacher. She was actually kind of nice, but the education was lacking. For science class, we had to take notes, just copy down whatever was written on the board. I did them all my first trip through grade 8, so I didn't need to do them the next year with few consequences. Lack of consequences was mainly caused by the fact that she made every quiz open book with a hint beside every question. The hint was the page and paragraph number on which to find the answer to the question. Language class was slightly harder. We had to do search and find and label every object, and write a sentence using said object. Now, imagine there's around 100 objects every month, and 5 different sheets of search and finds, and you get tired. She also really liked photography, which is cool. I don't, but it's nice having a bunch of pictures from middle school, which I only took because 3 months of the year she dedicated us to photography and would take us on actually interesting field trips around town where we could fuck around so long as we took photos too. And finally high school, land of the free, except you don't get choices until grade 11, so 2 more years of trash to work through. Oh, memories. We get this underqualified math teacher. I had perfectly fine courses where the teacher is learning the material alongside of the students. That was not this teacher. I was fairly strong in math, so I didn't struggle too much in her class, but I did teach myself everything from the book until she complained that I wasn't doing things the right way and dropped every test question I did incorrectly. If you can't read math, don't be a math teacher. Kids should be able to express math in whichever way makes them feel the most confident. That's the best part of it. If you're currently struggling with math, I highly recommend saying fuck it and creating your own language. I'll use calculus as an example, and Moonhorse will understand none of it. I'm not good at math. Never have been. The chain rule. Instead of, there's a guide. Good, because I don't understand any of this. F prime of g x times g prime x. I've never been more lost. I use CRR. With matching the language to the math, when given numbers and symbols, I can do it, but make me figure out what the words mean and I struggle. Anyway, the math teacher cut her toenails on her desk to make the class quiet down. It was really gross. That's disgusting. What the fuck? The French science teacher. The only reason she was given this position was because she could speak French, except it didn't matter because she didn't teach. No, instead she showed us audio-only tapes that were so fuzzy that no one could understand them. We made it through 1.5 of the 4 modules that we needed to complete the curriculum. I drew so many boar models every day that I wanted to cry. They took forever. I didn't care. She was having us do the big boy elements too. Easily 3 shells. Usually more. The only good class she taught was where she made everyone ice cream as a lab. She went over what to write and everything, and of course everyone got to eat said ice cream. I missed that day. She still wanted me to hand in the lab sheet with no help from her, and of course, no ice cream. Wow. Next, grade 10 English. This one's actually a demon, and the only teacher I've ever reported for literally anything. The thing is that she locked me in her office crying and apologizing to her because my creative writing hurt her feelings. What? It was horrible. She made me get up in front of everyone and called me to her office, which is 100% a supply closet, it's so small, and right outside of the classroom. She shoved me inside, locked the door, and stared me down. She told me that what I was writing about, school, had really made her upset since she assumed that I was talking about her. I mostly was, but fuck off. And that she felt the anger in my words, and it was really hurtful to her as a person. So your response to a literal child writing something that they don't like is to lock them in a closet. Wow, lady, you're a real fucking bitch. I started crying because she locked me in a fucking supply closet with her blocking the door at 15. Yeah, I'm getting angry now. And told me that I ruined her mood. Oh, boo-hoo. The kicker is that she told us that she wouldn't be reading those pieces of writing, which is why I didn't hold back. Then she made me go back in the classroom once I had apologized enough. No, I wasn't allowed a second to calm down, or even a tissue. I had to go, face my peers, sit down. This is the only teacher that I ever realized would be a terrible person from the start. See, it was pretty common in my school for teachers to have tea and mugs at the back of their classroom so kids could use it. And the first day of class, I saw and asked if she had any mugs. She said, "No, I don't give mugs to kids who look untrustworthy." Wow, what an actual bitch. To which I went, funny joke, okay, whatever. So I grabbed my own mug for the class next day. She got incredibly flustered when she saw it. "Where did you get that?" I brought it from home. It was weird enough that I mentioned it to some classmate during break. So it turns out she does have them, and has given them out to other people to use during class time. Maybe she thought I was race, gender, or sexuality. I don't know what you mean by that, but somehow I think I don't really want to know. This sounds like something that's going to make me angry, and I'm already kind of angry. I don't have a clue. On the first day of class, we have to do a diagnostic piece of writing, which basically makes your starting grade for the year. You get an hour to write an essay based on a given prompt. I like this personally. I'm in my element for writing. I did great on my AP exams, 4 and 5. However, she managed to ruin this. She lectured us for 30 minutes about how nobody could pronounce her name right, and she just went by the initial, so she would not let us try to pronounce it. But it was our fault that she felt insecure because people pronounced her name wrong. You know, when I was in school, my first name, I'm obviously not going to tell you, hint it's Moonhorse, is written in such a way that it often got confused with 3 different names, mainly because that was just a thing, and I never expected anybody to get it absolutely right, but I was also never an asshole about it. Like, it happens. Whatever. Not sure why this is a fucking problem. Sounds like somebody is really fucking insecure. This lady's fucking nuts. I also have a hard to pronounce last name. It's kind of hard to spell, too. But I just kind of deal with it in an appropriate manner. Likewise. There was one time in middle school that they locked me out of the laptops for months until I told them that I wasn't leaving until they fixed it. Turned out IT had spelled my name wrong, took 5 minutes to fix. Real good. Continuing onward, she made fun of the Mexican kid in class by saying, "Hope you don't end up on the wrong side of the wall." Why does this person still have a job? I mean, that's some pretty fucking racist shit right there, my dude. And criticized her for using Spanish words in her essays as it was cultural appropriation. Bitch, she's Hispanic. That is her culture. Keep in mind, the student is Mexican. Yeah, that's what I just said. Writing about an experience she had in Mexico. Holy shit, it just keeps getting better, doesn't it? I apologize to any Mexicans reading this. I'm sorry she ruined your culture. Assignments were graded weirdly. She'd never marked them correctly for anyone, usually taking anywhere from 5 to 15% off. I'd either get 20s or 100% on my assignments. No discernible reason why. I would always give them back to be remarked, and she'd mark it up to a 50, and I'd bring it back, and she'd mark it to 75 and give it back, at which point I was stressing her out way too much, and she needed a break from seeing me. So that's the story about how I got 75% in a class I was 100% overqualified for. I'm serious when I say all I need is a good teacher and I can learn things in 2 months. My writing is terrible because stylistic choice of my personal options, but she was teaching us about fanboys and awibus. I don't know what that is. Which I didn't care about memorizing, because come on, I speak English. I only know when to use for and nor but tor yet so in a sentence. I have no idea what. After she made some kids cry, oh, real good, I went with a group of people to complain about her teaching practices. Funniest part is that she got fired after that year. Ladies and gentlemen, we got her.
Bye, Felicia.
Some actual fucking justice. That's wonderful. But she went on to teach calculus in the poorer areas. Oh, those poor, poor people. That's just not fair. Which is cute, because I think getting calculus lessons from her would make me want to explode. At least I know I'm good at English, and the constant low marks were her fault. If I was in a class that I was insecure in, she would have been able to get under my skin much more. Usually I spent the whole class writing, even though that made her irreversibly angry. So did much of anything else I did, apparently. Imagine teaching a writing class and being mad that someone is writing. That's just genuinely insane. She was randomly sweet to the #troubled teens in the classroom who vaped and carved their initials into the desk. They always got perfect marks. I can also add stories about the gym teacher. Wasn't as terrible as the English teacher, but basically he didn't know what sports were. That's fine by me, I suck at them. So he tried to make us do the outdated Navy regimen exercise thing every day. When I say outdated, I mean dangerous. Basically, you had to do as many push-ups, stretches, etc. in 5 minutes as you could, which is not good for your muscles, but he didn't believe us until someone brought in a physiotherapist who gave us a lecture on basic exercise knowledge. So the athletic kids taught the class from then on. No issues until someone reminded him that we needed to do tests in gym class. He promised they'd be easy. I assumed they would have been, if we had learned about any sports from a professional. It was all true or false. 10 questions about the rules of basketball. So we did it, whatever, give it to him. He never mentions it again until we get our report cards. That one test was worth 1/3 of our grade. Oh! Real good. So that one poor kid who wasn't there got 60 on his report card. We basically jumped on him like, hey, you said you'd take care of this. I specifically remember him telling me I wasn't allowed to complain because I got a 70 on the test. I told him I guessed on every question. I don't think anything ever got changed. He also cut off a kid's finger and nearly sanded off a kid's nose in woodworking. Oh my god! Don't ask why he taught woodworking and gym. I'm more concerned with why he's even still in a school. Finally, I'm willing to move into college. As a background, I'm currently enrolled in pre-med courses because my family borderline bullied me into choosing this program and school that I just didn't want. I've been regretting my decision since last December, and have decided to move programs and schools next year. Since I am in pre-med, the course load is higher than usual with 6 or 7 classes per semester, as opposed to the standard 4. I had the opportunity to take less classes second semester, but my academic counselor convinced me that I didn't have a choice but to take the 6 courses. If anyone tells you this, they are lying. I also have to warn anyone about going to a small school or specific program. If there's only one teacher teaching your subject, there is no escape. Here are 3 more shitty teachers from over this year. Oh boy. The chemistry teacher. This is mostly my fault, but at the end you'll see why I dropped her class. Started with assignments. Being insane, I was actually in 7 courses at the time of these events. As you might guess, I was horribly behind my entire first semester, and part of that was the weekly assignment, which was hard-ish, nothing impressive. What was impressive was that my boyfriend was great at chemistry, and we would work together on the assignment. Basically, he made a mistake one day, and I didn't catch it, and we just moved on. She called it plagiarism. I got a 0 on the assignment. What? Everyone got notified, no action was taken, but that was my first and only warning. So I lost my study partner, who was super helpful and helping me to understand these topics. I see this will become a trilogy, but when I post that story about my ex, you'll know how much it hurt me to have to turn him in order to help me because he had already done first year chemistry. Eventually, there came a day where I was behind, and again, my mistake. Mixed her class up with another one and thought I only lost 10% per day. No, just another 0. She wouldn't let me make it up. Now the kicker comes from my lovely boyfriend. During this interesting year, his mother contracted COVID. Yeesh. He was busy trying to figure out how she could get food for the next 2 weeks. She was incredibly scared because she felt exhausted and was still expected to work her job during this time. And he turned in the assignment 10 minutes late due to this and apologized in an email. 0. I dropped. I didn't have the time, and I just hated her for that. She knew what had happened, but no, it's a learning opportunity. I couldn't stand her voice during lectures anymore. Wow, that is a really asshole thing to do. I mean, there's a global pandemic, and you're really going to chastise someone for trying to take care of their family in the middle of a literal global pandemic? Fuck off. Moving one down, we get to the calculus teacher. Issues. He had been hired 2 years ago after he came to be a ski bum and tutored during the off-season. He was a tutor who got a job as a professor. Oh boy. Within a year. Oh, that's not good. And not for first-year calculus, for third year. Oh, okay. So it's totally cool that he was trying to teach us first-year calculus. It was apparent that he expected us to know most of these things already, which sucks when most of us only did half of high school calculus due to COVID. His example videos included one example question, which he never finished, which did not match the assignment, or the quizzes. I hated the assignments the most. Every question felt like a fucking mountain. There's a philosophy in math about teaching the principle in the most simple form. You want to learn derivatives? It makes it easy to start with an easy one. Say, x squared plus 6, for example. To derive it, it just becomes x. Okay. Then move on to something slightly harder, maybe say more terms. But the questions he gave out looked like the square root of x minus t, where t is any constant, to the power of 3 divided by 16x squared. And the question 2 would be cos x times sine x tan over the square root of can't see x squared. Okay, I'm terrible at math, but even I know that's not how you're supposed to start this shit. Like, I have never been good at math. I actually have dyscalculia, which doesn't help. But, yeah, even as someone who doesn't know math, I'm just like, that's not how you do that. Like, I don't know, man, that just doesn't seem right to me. And those would be your only practice questions. Practice, really? That's how you're starting? Okay. Real cool. It's like trying to learn how to play football by taking on the fucking Giants. Yeah, I'm sure that'll work out great. Moving along to the quizzes, they'd just do weird things. Like it'd be the practical side of this. What is a derivative? Demonstrate your knowledge and understanding, of which I had none, which ended up being okay anyway. I was set to pass the course with a 60. If I got a 50 on a final, I needed to pass the final exam in order to pass the course, and I felt fairly confident. I shouldn't have. Failed the exam by 1 mark. 49.3%. Are you... Oh, fuck, dude. No, that's fucked up. That's not even fair. I asked him to look it over. He refused. Classy. The exam was on the last day before Christmas Eve. I had to work Christmas Eve. I stayed up all night, incredibly stressed, trying to navigate the university's shitty website to figure out my options. I could retake the test if I asked within 5 business days. Okay, easy enough. I worked my butt off over Christmas break, only had 2 days off, and studied calculus throughout, determined to do better. But then I emailed, first day school was back in session. No, you can't do that, it's been more than 5 days. And that's the story of why I have a 2.6 GPA. Wow. I have an F in calculus, from 1 point. I'm currently redoing the class under the same teacher, obviously. I don't get free will. According to the records office, redoing the course won't fix anything. My GPA is still fucked, and I'm still mad about it. So they're making you redo the course even though it won't do anything? Then what's the fucking point? This is like, changing your fucking carburetor and then taking out the fully new, non-broken carburetor just to put it back in a second time. Yeah, nothing fucking happened. This is... Now we get to the Magnum opus, the reason why I have been writing this teacher slander for over 2 hours. I can't sleep, the threat of her responding to my email of withdrawal is a heavy one. But we must start at the beginning. I did the AP tests. So I'm second year English. English last semester was amazing. It was my favorite class, hands down. It was on Canadian literature, which sounds terrible, but it's gorgeous. It's atypically modern. I believe there's only 3 pieces produced before the 1900s. My teacher had written her thesis on monsters and the Ogopogo, the Canadian Loch Ness Monster. That sounds really cool. I didn't know Canada had a Loch Ness Monster. She was fascinating to listen to, but was also super open to our ideas. Given how unexplored of a field it was, she always reminded us that we were probably one of the first people to come to the conclusions we had come to. Even better, she gave us 5 things to read every week. So if you only got through 3, totally fine though. It was all about the discussion anyways. Honestly forgot about the weekly forum post. She told me it was alright because I talked more than enough through class. However, I've never been more let down than joining my current English class. It's like a dementor. At first, it wasn't bad. I hated the homework, but I blame myself for that. We started with restoration poetry, which, if you know the genre, is weird to write about. I've never written so much about premature ejaculation, nor do I want to again. Here's the list of questions that she gave us to respond to. Number 1, what is the value of reading these 2 poems? Is there a value? Why or why not? Number 2, in what ways do these poems represent the changes we see during this period? Number 3, think about the different ways in which these 2 authors approach the same subject. Make notes on this. Number 4, what is Rochester's goal, Ben's? Was one more significant than the other, or do they complement each other? Number 5, consider literary devices and poetic structure. Be ready to discuss. And number 6, anything else you want to share? Yeah, I'm completely lost, but that's just my answer. This was twice a week. Responses must be done in proper APA formatting, less than 300 words per question minimum. What? Which she didn't tell me about until far into the school year. She was specific in a very undefined kind of way. You only knew that you had done something wrong once you did it. Oh, I hate people like that. We also had to present a poem and a poet once a week. This was the first instance of gaslighting. And I should have noted it harder. I asked her if we could choose a smaller section of a larger poem and present on that bit. She said it was fine. I did it the next week, and she was incredibly annoyed that I did not present the whole thing. I asked her if she wanted me to talk about the rest of it, but there wasn't enough time. I should add that this class has 3 people in it. Then it went into essays. She forced us to do a brainstorm, even after all 3 of her students said it would be bad. I didn't really understand the brainstorm part, so I just wrote down ideas until I liked one. She didn't like the one I chose. Who saw that coming? But what's actually exciting is she happened to make another student cry. This student, bless her heart, tried really, really, really hard on the outline. Every paragraph had like 15 citations, a topic sentence that related back to the main argument. I was in awe. Not my teacher, obviously. She basically tore the entire thing apart. I was trying to interrupt her to get her to stop because the other student at this point was crying and she just didn't. Wow, she sounds like a real fucking asshole. She concluded with this huge rant about how she's always horrified by students who cited a bunch of sources. This is literature. Therefore, your evidence should come from the text, and you shouldn't cite anything but the textbook. What? Afterwards, she asked the girl if she was okay, and mocked me for trying to interrupt because the girl said she was okay. What an actual bitch. Now, we all remember how I worked full-time over Christmas break. Well, that didn't include homework the first time. Over spring break, I had homework, and a lot of it. I tried, but I just couldn't get my essay done on time. My English teacher said, "No worries, get it to me in 2 days from now." So I did. I honestly thought it was a decent essay. I argued how romanticism was spurred on by the Industrial Revolution, and the feedback was, "You're doing everything perfectly, except you only cited sources from the book, so I gave you a 75%. I should have given you a 0, but everything else is great. By the way, you're failing your assignments." Did I ever mention, I don't think I ever have because I've never really had a chance to do this, but did I ever mention how much sometimes I really, really, really fucking hate people who are in the education field? People like this who are not educators, they're just in the field being a fucking nuisance. And suddenly, I was having to beg her to let me resubmit my assignments, because it's 3/4 of the way through the semester, and it's 25% of my grade. She said yes, and I'm crying because Jesus Christ, these assignments take me like 2 hours to even begin with, and now I have to do them all again. I spend 4 hours grinding through it into the night, get maybe halfway done. This is the part of the story where I remind you to get a copy of everything in writing. Then we get to me being incredibly sick. I was at the ER, dehydrated from vomiting. Not good stuff. And I was basically out of service for 3 days, which is terrible when everything is happening. I missed a midterm, a math assignment, a bio lab, my math assignment, an English class, and homework, and a psychology meeting in one go. So I emailed her basically saying, hey, not sure when I can get my homework done. I was in the ER. I have a doctor's note if you need to see it. I'd also like a chance to go over the homework I have redone because I'd like to make sure it's done correctly this time. And she replied, like an asshole, I understand you may want to go back and clean up some of your work. However, this is not possible. You've done most of your assignments, and I will not be remarking anything. Your only option is to turn your attention towards what's due this week. Therefore, I will not be giving you an extension, and I don't want your grades to suffer. She was in the fucking ER, you absolute fuck muppet. Oh my god. So I started crying, which is always fun to be doing right before one of your proctorio exams. I passed the exam with a 95%. Afterwards, I knew I needed to talk to my mother because I was mad and unstable and have little control over my tone in writing. My mother, however, is a master of bureaucracy. So I had her help me write my next email, which went like, thank you for helping me to alleviate my stress during this time. However, the reason we had initially discussed me redoing the homework is because you said I was going to receive a poor grade by the end of the semester. I was hoping to at least receive a B in this class. I really enjoy English and I'm learning so much. I just hope that by the end of my term, my grade will reflect my learning. I'm concerned about safeguarding my GPA. Thank you for your support, and I would appreciate any further options to work on this together. And then I ignored everything, because I hated her now, and I didn't want to do the homework that is due in like 2 hours because fuck that noise. But her greatness responds. I did not talk to you about redoing your homework. I also did not tell you that you would receive a poor grade. However, how would you know such a thing? This is the line that irked me the most. If you're concerned about safeguarding your GPA, then I recommend once again focusing on the task in front of you. I also recommend when you are asked to bring detailed outlines for feedback, prepare thoroughly in advance. These are ways we achieve satisfying GPAs in post-secondary. In short, the answer to your request is a respectful no. I do not wish to discuss it further. And I give up. I'm completely sketched out by the reasoning that she does not know my grade, nor is she willing to calculate it in advance. In simple terms, I believe I will be discriminated against by the end of the semester. I dropped this part out of the email because it was long, but I should have made an appointment to go over my work with her in advance, if I was going to be worried about my GPA. At which point I facepalm and say I was trying to do that at the beginning of the email chain, and I don't fucking care anymore. So I filled out the withdrawal form and sent it with the message, thanks for the opportunity. Luckily, by taking the time to write this all out, I avoided most of the stressful waiting for her to reply. I'm sorry to see you go, but perhaps this is the wisest course. It's difficult to take a course without the prerequisite. We'll be offering English 200 in the fall if you'd like to try again the proper order. To which I say, fuck off. I'm confident I know the material. I'm perfectly capable of learning it if I don't. You can't catch me up here. I will always keep writing, mainly because people like her don't deserve to be English teachers. Fucking well said. Absolutely. Holy shit, dude. I mean, before I go into like a psychotic rant about how much I can't stand this woman and some of the other people that you mentioned, I want to go ahead and apologize hugely on my behalf, even though I'm not, an educator or anywhere near this, for you even having to put up with this bullshit. See, things like this are the reason why I cannot fucking stand some of this academia nonsense. Because some of these people get so far up their own fucking assholes they could check for polyps until the next fucking decade. It is unbelievable to me that someone who is supposed to be trying to help people learn would do this. These people act like their entire course, their entire material, all of what they're trying to teach you is as if they're running a business. Are you going to get profit from the essays that they're sending you? Are you selling the fucking term papers they're turning in? No! This is an assessment of skill, you absolute fuck muppet. Learn how to actually help people, and if someone doesn't get it, help them understand it. For fuck's sake, I'm better at teaching people how to do shit when it comes to the things I do for this whole show, and I'm not even a fucking teacher. I'm just some jackass who reads stories on the internet. I am a huge proponent of learning things on your own or with someone you feel more comfortable with whenever you can. Follow whatever want and desire you have to learn these things, but do not put up with people like this. There is so much pressure with a lot of this stuff that people like this are supposed to be a challenge, and then you overcome them and you do this, and then it like you're some kind of hero for doing it. Maybe, or maybe you are a human being and do not deserve to be talked to like that. This person has decided to act like an absolute fucking asshole. Has decided to try and tear down people for trying to only express and understand the thing that they enjoy most. This is not a teacher. This is a fucking psycho. I don't even care if she hears this. I'm not in your class, lady. And from myself and everyone who's ever had to suffer from you, because all I had to do is hear about your antics, at least I didn't have to beat you face to face, but here's one for you. Go fuck yourself. Seriously, what a fucking dick. That is just abjectly unbelievable. I can't. I fucking can't. You know, when I first started writing neckbeard stories and stuff like that, I was asked a few times if I actually had been in some sort of like creative writing class, or if I was some sort of like college graduate who understood those things. Here's a little secret about your favorite Uncle Moonhorse. I didn't go to college. I didn't. I was incredibly poor, still kind of am, and didn't really have that option. I did stuff like this because I enjoy entertaining people. I learned how to write and focus my thoughts better because I enjoy writing and I like entertaining people. Obviously, I enjoy talking and making videos more, but that was the thing. I learned it because of creativity, and I am fairly certain that if I did go to school and had to wind up with someone like this is the kind of person who would fuck up my entire fucking outlook. I had to put up with that all through my 20s, and younger, honestly, of just people constantly kicking your fucking shit in because you have a dream and you want to express yourself. That is what this is. This is someone who cannot fucking express themselves. This is someone who is so angry that their own personal achievements never got what they wanted it to be, and now they spend their time taking it out on people who just want to express themselves. And don't even get me started about the crazy bitch who locked you in the closet. That is absolutely psychotic. I was angry then, and I'm still angry now. That's a whole different level. That's not even like I'm, unfulfilled as an educator or unfulfilled as like a creative. No, you're just a child abuser, and go fuck yourself. Absolute shit, I swear. And again, I am so sorry you had to put up with this. I remember when I was younger having to go through points like that in school where like you realize that the person teaching this class or the person in charge is actually fucking nuts. But no one's going to believe you because you're a student or you're a kid. But yeah, no, you can fucking tell. Years later, my friends and I who did kind of go to the same school and who I still talk to from time to time will have conversations like that where it's like, no, that woman or that guy was absolutely fucking crazy. Like, they just were. That's just a thing. So, no, you're not wrong for reporting this person, and you're not wrong for dropping that, and you're not wrong for pushing against these things, because these people are fucking nuts. You are 100% justified and absolutely correct in fighting back against this. And honestly, I don't know if it means anything, but your Uncle Moonhorse is very proud of you. I am a little bit of a, well, more than a little bit. I'm very much an anarchist, so I like to push against the whole system as it is in general. But the fact that you stood up for yourself and stood up against somebody who is abjectly just being a total fucking narcissist bitch is something that I'm very proud of you for. You don't deserve to be treated like that, and you shouldn't have to. I get a little angry in this one, kids, so I hope you enjoyed it, but if you did, thank you for being here. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. I have a Ko-Fi and a merch store, and if you want to send me your own stories, r/Moonhorse Stories, baby, you can send it there. I'll check it out. I love you all so very, very much. Take care of yourselves out there, kids. It's a fucking crazy world, ain't it? I love you all. Goodbye.